So I went to 2.5 hour, maybe 3 hour masterclass by Mario, and I thought, do you know what? I'll recreate it and I'll make it really quick. It's not really quick, however, it's epic. So before this makeup, I've already used my zip just to lift and tighten up my skin a little bit. I then cleansed that off and went in with a little bit of Augustina Spada moisturiser. This is my go-to moisturiser. It's actually the one that Mario uses, and later on I will use a little bit of Embryolisse during this makeup. So before he began the makeup, he had already prepped the eyes with the Master Eye Prep Set. This is my one that's in medium, and I've just put these two on. First step is brows. I'm just going to brush my brows through. So I'm just going to use this just to lift this corner here and define the underneath. And then I might just shape a little bit. This is something that I do in my makeup routine anyway. I normally just focus on shaping here and lengthening, and then I keep this bit pretty empty. This brow, however, I have a little gap here, so I do go a little bit more there. So I take it a little bit further across there. So you're instantly getting that lift from the brows, and this bit's quite nice and natural. The colour that I use is Dirty Blonde, and this is my go-to one. I actually use this all the time. Next up, Master Pigment Pro Liner. This one is in the Perfect Brown, and I'm taking that both top and bottom in the waterline. So this pencil is one of my go-to pencils. It stays put brilliantly, especially in the waterline. However, I've never used the other end of the pencil, and he used this so much. So we're going to go in with that next. We're just going to make sure that is all blended right the way through the lashes. And then used to blend the top. Just to make that a little bit softly diffused. And then underneath, making sure that the pencil is right in the lash line. I'm going to go in again in the waterline just to seal that. That's not something that he did, but I always find that the liner moves a little bit. Once it's set, I can go in and seal it again. So now you can see that the concealer is kind of creased a little bit, so I'm just going to go over that with my finger. And what is on my finger, I'm actually kind of taking down a little bit, just so this line looks really soft and muted. This isn't something that he did, however his model was probably about 20 and I'm 45, so I have to tweak mine a little bit to work on my skin that creases. And in the powder, just to set that. So Mario has a couple of palettes. This is Master Mattes the Neutrals, has a few more grey tones in there. And this is Master Mattes. I'm going with Master Mattes today. So these have all been made to mimic skin undertones. So I'm going to go in with this one here and this one. I'm going to mix the two together. And I'm going to wash that all over my lid. I'm actually now just using the darker of the two. I wanted to see how it turned out on my skin tone. This is a Mario EF2 brush. This is such a nice tone of eyeshadow. You can actually see how much greener that eye looks now because of that kind of red-yellow undertone, or orangey undertone. In the same palette, the lightest colour. This is on an E5 brush, and that is going to be pushed just here and here. Where I lifted the brows, that wants to go there and there. And get rid of a lot of the product from the brush and then blend it. So it's just giving us a soft highlight, but that brightest bit is there. I'm going back in with the brush that I was using for the eyeshadow just to make sure that that's a bit seamless. I've not put more eyeshadow on it, but I'm just using it just to kind of take away that real light line, but still there. Now this is slightly different to what Mario did, but I'm going to take a tiny bit of my brown eye pencil. I'm just going to put a dot here, because my eyes are not the same shape as his models. I'm going to try and mimic it, so I'm just putting a couple of dots there. I'm going to use the end and just drag that, just so I get a slightly more winged out eye. You can kind of see a little bit of a line there at the moment, which we don't want, so I'm just going to go in with a brush, just soften it. You don't want anything to look like it's got a line. You don't want to see where one thing starts and another ends. I'm going to go in with a tiny bit of these two darker ones, not much, just a tiny bit. Tap off any excess on everything. Nothing was used straight onto the skin. Everything was tapped off. I'm just popping that into my natural crease there. but because I've tapped off so much of it, hardly any is laying, so it looks pretty seamless. I have to be very careful because I have a naturally big socket, so everything looks like it's not blended in there, even when it is, because I naturally have a very deep set socket, which is, I'm not complaining about, I like it a lot. But I do have to make sure that things are really smoothly blended. I'm just cleaning up my under eyes of anything that may have laid down. I'm actually just sprayed a little bit of this soft setting spray onto a piece of cotton and just cleaning up underneath. I don't want to use a makeup remover or anything because I don't want anything oily there that will disrupt the makeup. We're now moving away from the eyes. We're going to use a little bit of Ember Release just to wake up the skin. I'm popping that onto a sponge because that's what he did, and I really like the idea of that because you're not laying too much product down. It's just freshening the skin up. We don't want too much product, but we want enough slip. Right, we're ready for base. I'm taking 6W and 7C. I don't know which colour I'm going to be. This one's 7C and this one is 6W. And I know I do like to use different colours in different areas, so I'm going to pop it onto a brush, mix them together, get rid of most of the product. And this is what he did the whole time, is really just, we're just pushing product onto the skin. You're hardly applying any product. This is why it took so long. Ages doing this, but it looked spectacular at the end. If you've got 2.5 hours spare before you do your makeup, or to do your makeup, I suggest you give it a go. By pushing this onto the skin, you're never applying too much, but you're slowly, lightly building, and your skin's kind of grabbing it at the same time. You probably know from my videos, I don't tend to put makeup in this area, nor does Mario, but I'm just going to rub a little bit of what's left on the brush just over it, just to kind of take away any pigmentation that may be there. Hopefully the foundation should be a perfect match, so you don't need to take the makeup everywhere. You want it to be as seamless as possible. Look how natural that looks. I've hardly used any product whatsoever. This brush is F4. Look how little I've used. I need to make sure I'm taking that down the neck and on the ears. I'm just popping out for a slightly smaller brush still with the same foundation. And I just want to pop that in here because I get a little bit of redness there. Next step, a touch of concealer. I've got 320, which is slightly more peachy tone. And then I've got 200, which is slightly more yellow undertone. I'm going to take the 320 under my eyes. Again, working it onto the brush for minimal lay down. And I'm just going to push that under my eyes. And that peachiness is just going to stop any blue purple that's trying to break through. And I like to use what's left on the brush just here, because it gives me a nice little lift there as well. It's just out of the way of my fine lines, but I get a little bit of discoloration just there. And then I'm mixing both colours together for any other concealing areas. I like to put a little bit of my concealer on my chin just to project that forward here, just to pop that jawbone out. Very subtle. So this is using the 200, that was the 320. But again, I'm really packing the brush before I'm applying it. Back in with my foundation one just to make sure that all of this is combined. And we can see that my redness is just coming back a touch. So I'm going to go back in with my foundation hand, which is still full, and just complete that. But still, it's minute layers of makeup. It's not like I've got tons of makeup on. It's really, really fine layering where necessary. That is why it looks so natural. Okay, the base is all in place. It's ready to be set. This is the Surreal Skin Soft Blur Setting Powder in Fair Pink. I don't want much. Dusting off most. Dusting off my hand as well. It should just look the same, but flatter. This is just taking away the immediate shine and sealing that makeup. Back in with my F4 brush. This is the dual-ended foundation, and this is a little bit of soft sculpt. This is like a cream sculpting product. This one is in light medium. I'm just going to take some of that. I'm going to get rid of most of it. And that's just going to go here. So it's not really on the contour. It's kind of in the middle of the contour and the cheekbone. Just pushed. pushed, down this middle bit, under here. Suck it up. So subtle, but makes such a difference. It's a cream product, so subtle, but makes tons of difference. Not any further than here, otherwise it's going to sink that cheek in too much and also drop it. You want to make sure it stays there. Right up in that hairline. Tan doesn't just stop. I actually like to take a little bit here and here as well. And I'm going to run a tiny bit across my nose. And then going back in with my beginner eyeshadow. And the same brush. Get rid of any excess, we don't want this to fall down. And then just run that underneath. Just so the warmth of it just catches. And then what's left on the brush, we're just going to go in here. I don't have the powder bronzer, which I'm sure he would have used over the top, but I can't remember. I do have this, however, so let's try a bit of this. This is Skin Perfecting Soft Sculpt Transforming in Light. Let's try a bit of that over the top, just to seal it into place. Okay, cream blushes. I have got Just Peachy or Barely Blushing. Ooh, I have to go Just Peachy, don't I? This is on an F3 brush. Getting it on that brush. So you can see how subtle that is. This probably wasn't the best brush to use for this, I have to say. This is the F3. I think I needed a slightly more formed brush, like the foundation one almost. The camera just decided to turn itself off because it was overheating. Because I spent too long. I'm going to go back in with my foundation one, just to soften that. Take away a bit of that shine. And then I'm going to go over the top of that with powder and Creamy Peach. There's a lot of layers. It's just going to take away a bit of that shine. This is not a step that he did, but it's a step that I feel that I need to do. I'm just going to take a little bit of the blusher. Just run it. Just soften it here. Just so it kind of mimics what's going on my cheeks a bit. Otherwise my cheeks look too corally. Just a touch. Just a little accent. Let's finish the eyes and then do the lips. Mario mascara. Oh, she's really black. Come back and do the underneath once the top's dried. Let's do the lip. He used Smoky Pink. He said he always starts with the middle to kind of get that lip flip. I'm going to take the other end of the pencil just to really buff that in. And I'm just stretching the lip liner a little bit. I can't actually remember what he did on the lips, but I know he used this colour. I think I was getting very fidgety by this time. So I'm just going to stretch it. Inside the lip, I'm going to take Flat Iron. This isn't the colour he used. He used maybe Midtown, which is a little bit darker, but I want the lighter one. Or it might be a little bit too light, maybe. He was right. He was right. It's a bit too yellow, isn't it? Let's do Midtown. Oh, should I just pick up something? No, they look the same. It's got a little bit more pink in it, that one. Not very different. Okay. Not sure about either of those. I like them, but I just don't know if I like them with this look that I've copied. I like the lip on its own, you know, the lip liner on its own. I'm going to go... I do have another one that I like, which is called Bronx. Bronx Baby. That's a bit nicer, I think. Let's pop a little bit of Midtown in the middle, because it is pinky. I just need to use a dusting of powder, just here, when my shine is a bit low. And there you have the finished look. It is very 90s supermodel Kevin Aquan. I am very much here for it. I love it a lot. Let me know what you think. Sorry, it was meant to be a quick video. It is not.